Get ready to root for Jen Poff, a struggling actress whose career is about as lively as a wilted flower. Her soulmate, Wes Blankenship, is a music maestro with a heart of gold. Along comes Mason Langford, a Hollywood big shot with a cutting proposal to help Jen get back on the map. But hold the phone, folks. Mason has a ginormous ego and cares more about his agenda than helping Jen. What's his hidden agenda? Jen soon realizes the sinister catch, but it's too late, and Mason springs an ultimatum on her. Can she bear to be apart from Wes for 5 long years? Get ready to be whisked away on a wild emotional ride with this gripping story. Love is Worth Waiting For is a second chance rock star romance with a fake relationship set in Hollywood and comes with a happy ending. Love is Worth Waiting For is available now at most online booksellers. Welcome to the Better Two podcast. I'm your host, Donna. Today's guest I have is Tracy Bonham. Tracy, you may know from her song back in the 90s called Mother, Mother. We don't really talk too much about that. I mean, of course, we have to talk a little bit about it, but we go pretty much talking about her 30-year career in music and how she got her start and so much more, including about life. So stay tuned. Hi, Tracy. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I am good. So I want to dig in. I know you have a new record coming out this fall, and by the time this airs, it will already be out most likely because this is going to air in September. So maybe it'll
Okay.
be, maybe it
Maybe
won't.
not. Yeah.
But you do have singles out. So that's important. We'll get to those eventually. But I want to go take you back to you started playing violin at the age of 9. Was this by choice or was this something that somebody's like, oh, here's an instrument for you?
It was by choice, but I was really lucky, am still lucky to have a mother who is so supportive and encouraging. And any instrument I pointed at, she'd be like, here, let's get you lessons. So yeah, just, I'm forever grateful for that.
That's awesome. I remember my one of my dad's girlfriends played violin, and I think it was about 10, and she's like, "Here you go." And I'm like, "Okay." I had no concept, could not. I tried, it just did not resonate. But it's
Understood.
looking at what you do. I mean, when you play live, you play violin, you play piano, you play guitar, and you continually change. Is that been how your music has evolved? Is because you continually pick up a different instrument and then just grow with it?
Yeah, actually, and I'm so glad that we're talking about this instead of just my hit song. And I have evolved. I always feel like I'm evolving and borrowing from all of the different, whether it's my skills or my influences. I guess I realize now in looking back in retrospect, I can't sit still. And usually things are a reaction. Like my first album with, the distorted guitar and very little chord sophistication was a reaction to my classical upbringing. And then second album is a reaction to that. And so I feel like it's a constant conversation. And luckily I've allowed myself to grow and expand.
But I think that's what makes people have long careers is because they're continually evolving. It's the musicians and the groups that just kind of play, they had that one hit or they had that one album that sounds almost identical all the way through. Every single that was released sounds like identical. And I understand music companies, they wanted back then, especially those hits.
Right.
But at a certain point, if you're not gelling and it's not flowing and you're not evolving,
Yeah.
then you lose.
I agree. And I think for me, I just can't see myself doing the casino circuit or the what do you call it? The heritage acts or it's not for me. I know there are some bands who do well at that and that's their thing. And maybe it's just what they can do, but I'm constantly trying to break down the walls. And I'm really grateful for any fan who continues to follow me on this path.
Well, I wanted to compliment you because I did notice I was watching some of the ballet clips And I noticed that one fan was talking about Mother Mother and how that song changed her life. And she's like, I doubt that Tracy's going to read this. It'll be some marketing department. And
Oh
I
yeah.
love the fact that you responded, that you were like, no, it's me. And
Mhm.
that's the truth. I had talked to a fan about another band, and they're like, well, the band would never lie to us. And I'm just like, really? Do you not understand that there's a whole marketing team that puts
Yeah.
out what is said?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think back in the day, in the 90s for sure, and even to early 2000s, it was like that. I felt like, and maybe that was frustrating for me too. I felt like I was behind a veil and, I had to kind of get somebody's permission to do anything, it just, that I'm so glad that time is over. And so when I can actually reach a fan directly, and when she wrote that, I was like, oh, I need to reach out. I don't reach out to
Right.
I don't respond to everything, but I was just like, you know what? No, this is a real connection we're having. It's not just, a facade.
And that's something in this world today that we don't have a lot of, is real connection. We have this illusion of everybody's got this great, fabulous life, but we don't talk about what's really going on.
Right.
And I was reading about your People magazine article, and the fact of the matter is, you were talking about the fear of putting yourself out there after your diagnosis with breast cancer. And when I lost my husband, I went through the same thing because I'm an author and I wasn't doing the podcast yet, but I was an author. And I did not choose to put that out there because it's like, well, I don't want to use this personal moment
Yeah.
for. So, I mean, I commend you for doing that, because I've seen other, since my husband passed, it's been 4 years. I've seen
Yeah.
other authors lose their spouse, and they put that out there and they sell books. And it's just like, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not anything bad. But so for you
Right.
to do it, I understand where you're coming from, because you did it and then you found community.
Well, yeah. And first of all, I'm really sorry about your husband passing. That's got to be awful.
It was, but
I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's a personal decision. And, what's really odd is that my best friend in the entire world was also diagnosed before me. And she had stage 4. She had a really scary diagnosis. And we were just freaking out. Obviously, she was, and her family was. I'll just say a little shout out now. She's no evidence of disease. Her body's responded to the treatment so well. And she was diagnosed in October. So just keep the fingers crossed for her. Tiffany, she's amazing. But she and I were talking about that. And I said, I don't want to share exactly the reason you gave, is like, I don't want it to be like I'm using it for more press and promotion. And she and I, we'd have these very real and vulnerable conversations. And she just said, when you reach out, you're gonna be so shocked at the boatloads of love you get back. And so I've been grappling with it. And then I thought, maybe it's my responsibility to also to speak about it, because I wanted to share, how I found it, which, I wouldn't have normally found this little tumor unless I had gotten the specific kind of mammogram that people don't know about. So I started to think about my responsibility and what she said. And so I just kind of jumped into the cold water. I wasn't quite even sure I was prepared. Okay, I'm going to do it. And I made that post, and she was absolutely right. It was so beautiful. And then, yeah, I found this community, and the song that I was putting out, of course, it seems like it's, perfect timing. But the song I put out was, the big refrain is, "Where's my village?" So it really, all of it kind of came together. It was really beautiful experience.
and that's when you find community, and genuine community, that is a gift in itself, and it helps you heal even more.
Oh my God, it does. And then you give the gift of other people going, maybe I can share and not be so closed or fearful or shut down. And the connection, even sometimes, even though it's complete strangers and I'm answering comments or making comments, it doesn't feel like complete strangers. Not always, it feels like these people, I'm with them, they're with me, and I feel like it's a conversation.
And that's important. Sometimes those tough conversations are the most important conversations we can ever have.
I know, right? And they're awful and they suck, and you never want to have them. And then
No,
you get through them and you're like, oh wait, actually there's some good.
when you're on
Yeah.
the other side of all the trauma and the drama, it's like, wow, I actually made that through, and You remember those moments where everything seemed like it was a mountain to climb and you weren't going to get through it.
right? I mean, I'm sure you can relate to that. And I'm hoping you're on, the other side of the mountain or coming close. And
I'm about to move, and that'll be the hardest thing I think is closing the door,
oof,
because we shared this house for about 7, 8 years, but we were together 16. But closing the door on this house, when I closed that door the last time,
mhm.
I already asked one of my best friends. I'm like, "Can you be here that day?" She's like,
Oh
"Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
yeah."
yeah. And that's interesting. Okay, so I had just recently had a tragedy in my family, um, where somebody very young passed, and the caretaker, my brother, um, at going through this grieving process with him, and then it's been like maybe a month or two now since, and the fact that he's not talking about it anymore is very interesting because I think all of us want to be like, oh my God, we have to hold on. We have to hold on to the memories and the house and the conversations, and we have to keep it alive. But I think once we get to the point where the material things or whatever that hold that memory, it's really not about that. It's about what we have in our heart, whether we save the keepsake. I'm all about like saving the keepsakes, but then again, it's like the memory and the love is still here.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, grief is such a weird thing because there's times when I look back right after he passed because it was a long illness. It's like
Yeah.
I thought I was doing better. And
Oh,
then as it's morphed, and I've noticed that most people that go through grief, that first year, you're sitting there hitting that, okay, it's been a month, it's been 2 months, it's been 3 months. Okay, this is the first birthday. You make all these milestones
uh,
and you don't necessarily talk about it because nobody else is going to get it. But it's like, you know that you have to get through this journey. And it's different than being divorced because I've been there too. You don't sit there and count, okay, I'm single for no, but with death, it's like you count it out. It's
oh,
like, okay, I've made it through a month now. I made it through 2 months.
oh God, I can't even imagine what that's like. I have not experienced that. That sounds really
I
hard.
wish it for no one. I do. But it's a growth process and it makes you appreciate things a lot more.
Right.
So yeah, and I
Yeah.
wanted to say, something about your divorce. You had said that you felt lonely and isolated, and I think that's something, and it's very topical considering what's going on with some of the political situations where they basically want to take us back to the 50s and be that isolated woman. But my ex husband, he moved us after my mom died, moved us to the middle of nowhere in Indiana,
Mm.
and all my support group was gone. And so I understand where you're lonely and you're isolated. And you can, even being a celebrity or a singer, you can be in a room full of people and be totally alone. And nobody
Actually,
talks about that.
right. That could even be one of the most loneliest times is when you just feel kind of like maybe you're different than others. And that's just a concept anyway. But yeah, it can be very lonely.
Mhm. So, what made you decide to say, okay, this is not working. I want a partnership. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm with somebody and I feel just alone and isolated.
Mm. It was a long, long process of coming to terms with it. Um, really wanting it to work and really wanting a family. And we adopted a beautiful child. And, we, of course, like poured all of our love and care into this child. And we still do, which is great. And he's a great dad. And so I have no, issues there. But I always likened it, and it kind of started growing early on. I likened it to like an egg that had this like really great looking shell, but inside it was starting to, I don't know what the word is, just um, uh, deteriorate.
Mhm.
And we did good, and we passed all of the tests with family and friends for a while. But I think my close friends started to see and started to hear me express my loneliness and my frustration. And there was just a lack of real connection there. And I think I've realized that you can't force that. And we went into therapy, or I eventually got him to agree to therapy. That was a long road. And
Mhm.
easy, right? Being vulnerable and open. But at that point, I think it was just becoming really obvious that it wasn't working. You know, two people have to really be willing to really be vulnerable and open up.
It's very true. It's very true. My husband, my late husband, it was funny because I had been seeing a therapist because I think mental health is an important thing. And he was like, I'm just going to wait in the car. And I'm like, his parents had passed. I knew his siblings were going to be a bear to deal with. And I'm like, you really should come with me. He's like, no, I won't. I'm like, come on, you should come with me. He's like, okay, buy me a fish sandwich and I'll go. I'm like, all right. So I did. And he started going with me. And after all was said and done dealing with his siblings and everything, he said to me, he goes, I thank you for doing that because that was the best thing you could have done.
Wow.
But it took a fish sandwich.
That's all it takes for some people. That's amazing. I love him.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, but the thing is, your marriage, dissolution of your marriage, your divorce, ended up inspiring you with your song, "Damn the Sky."
Right. That's true.
So, I mean, I think that's one thing we don't look at necessarily, and especially as creatives, that people outside of the creative realm don't see that tragedy sometimes can inspire greatness.
Oh yeah. Right. I mean, those are the kinds of artists I gravitate towards anyway. The ones that have that, there's a depth. I'm not trying to say there's any kind of hierarchy, I've lived more or you've lived more,
right.
But right, like when you go through stuff and you go through those challenges, they make you more alive. They kind of define you. And if you treat them right, like if you don't just stuff them down or in denial, if you do the inner work, right, to overcome whatever it is, it makes you deeper. And then the art, I think, that comes from that is deeper. And I love that kind of music. I love those kinds of artists.
But you are one of those artists.
Well, thanks. I'm happy to be among them, I guess. That's beautiful.
But we have to go back to Mother. And I don't want to dwell on Mother, but I find it interesting that you have the line in there about just starting to build my name. Yeah. And here we are. This song basically launches you, and you get Grammy nominations. You get all these nominations, and so you have to be on this high of wow, I've made it.
Now?
No, I'm saying then. I'm saying then. I mean, that had to be a little overwhelming at the time because you've made, and it's not that it was an overnight success because you've worked and you've done all these things and you've gone to school and you've created this career. You've released an EP. It's not that it was an overnight, but still, at one point it had to seem slightly like, wow, okay, how did this happen?
Freakishly, yeah, exactly. It was a lot, and then it was nonstop. Like the pressure and everyone trying to get you to do stuff, and you're thinking, well, I don't really want to do it, but I probably should because and all of these conversations going on around you and in your head. It's overwhelming, especially if you don't have that slow ramp. So you're right. It was kind of sudden in a way, in that realm of just like, now I'm a rock star. Okay, I am a rock star. Meanwhile, I had all of this training and this past life of, doing all sorts of music and it, for a moment, there were two sides to it. One time I remember sitting in the back of a limo, as I used to do, and I thought, wow, I'm going to be like Tom Waits or something. I'm just going to continue to make artsy albums for the rest of my life. Woo, isn't that great? How naive. And then there was the other side of it, like, holy crap, I have to get the energy to do this again. And now that I see the deep underbelly of the music business and my record label and everything that happened there, I was like, oh my God, do I really have to get the energy now? It felt like a fight. It felt like a fight to even stay relevant.
Well, and at a certain point, I've talked to people that have been on The Voice and how they want to craft who you are and they want to just mold you. And per what I've been reading when I was doing some research about your career, them saying, you put your heart and soul into your record and they're like, oh, well, wait, you don't have a single.
Oh, yeah. It's awful.
And it didn't happen to you once, it happened to you twice. And it's like, but you hear the single, what your fans are looking for. And that's the problem. I think when you're dealing with record labels back in the day, they wanted that commercial success, but it's like the fact of the matter is your true fans are going to want your stuff for you. I mean, I there's a band I follow and I followed for most of their career, Duran, and the
Okay.
fact is they not me, but most people will buy. Oh, they're re-releasing their stuff. Okay, I have to buy it again.
Right. Now I know, what is that?
I still have my original LPs. I don't have to buy the re-releases, but okay. But
Ah,
that's
yeah.
what I'm getting at. It's like, so sometimes when the record label interferes by saying, "Oh no, this is crap," the fans still want it because they appreciate what you did in your art.
Yeah. It's kind of like a real insult to the fans, the real fans, the ones who care about your artistry and just like you for who you are, your perspectives on things and your lyrics, your way you construct a song. It's a real insult. It's like, oh, well, those people don't matter. We want to go for the masses. And because it's safe, we want to go with what works. So how are you going to write another mother while you're trying to evolve? Yeah, it's terrible. And then, for me, I just had a rotating cast of characters coming in and out at this point. I'm like, what is this record label? I thought I was on Tom Waits's, PJ Harvey's,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube label. And now I'm like being, coupled with like, I don't know, Cisco, you remember the song?
Yes.
Like, I'm like, what is this? And the pressure and they didn't really know who I was or what I was all about, didn't care. The pressure to stay on top of whatever is hot now, it was just not about the art at all.
And that's unfortunate because why do you do it? I mean, yes, you do it to make money, but you do it because you're an artist.
Right. A lot of people would say, yeah. Some people do it to make a buck, and that's fine for them too.
And
You
some
know,
people do it as when they're younger to get chicks. But anyway,
I mean, right? That was the whole thing. Exactly. Exactly.
so when you look at that and you go back to that time, are you kind of glad it fell apart the way it did?
Oh, very interesting question. Nobody's ever asked it like that. That is I have a double-sided answer
Fair.
because in a way I'm not, because I didn't even have a chance. It was like on the road. I actually didn't even have a headlining tour.
Oh,
I don't think I ever had a headlining tour, definitely not for my first album, which is surprising to hear for most people. They're
yeah.
like, what? You were on the top of the world. But no, I was still climbing. And I, went out on these tours, which were great. But I never had that chance. And so I never felt like I had a foothold. So in a way, I wish I would have had maybe more moderate success, but a foothold or like more consistency. But instead it shot up and then things crumbled underneath it. And then it went down so fast. And the consistency and the momentum were lost. And I remember being so jealous of bands that like Belly, for instance. Like they had a consistent, it may not have been like millions of records, but it was like a consistent like fan base, and they were out on the road, whatever it was, good management, things like that I didn't have. I had a manager who said, "You're only as big as your last hit." He was so like tied to the business. Also, there was a suggestion to go just kind of hide your head in the sand for a while until female artists are welcome again. Like it was terrible advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight up patriarchy.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Right. Yes.
But let me ask you this. So, if you, in the great world of hypothesis,
Yeah.
what do you think your life would have been like had you had that success?
Okay. Well,
You wouldn't be talking to me.
no, that is so not true. I'm enjoying this.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Wouldn't be sitting on this like weird, I don't know, big looking puff thing. I wouldn't- what would it be like? It's hard to say. I think, okay, I know. Oh, I have a good one now. Because this is what I'm frustrated with now. I think I'd be booked in better venues. I think people would not just box me into the one hit wonder category, which is really frustrating. People would know that I have a large repertoire because I think there'd be visibility. So I do wish that would have been the case where I could not constantly feel like I have to prove myself that I'm more than mother. That would be different and that would be amazing.
And unfortunately, yeah, that once you have that one hit, it's kind of.
Yeah,
So you worked with the Blue Man Group?
I did.
I've never seen them. They've always kind of scared me. Don't ask me why.
I understand. Yeah, they're creepy, right? They're creepy looking.
So, but that allowed you to sell what 12,000 records on your own without any help. And I mean, that's an amazing thing, especially because when you were doing it, it wasn't necessarily the way it is nowadays, where you could
Oh
get your
yeah.
music out digitally.
Oh, right. There was right. This was in 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and it's funny when you say 12,000 because it doesn't, to me, it still doesn't sound like a lot of albums, but it does for today's standards because nobody's buying
Right.
albums or CDs, right? But yeah, this was a wonderful opportunity. First of all, Blue Man Group, they're not creepy, they're amazing. They're just,
I know.
no, I know, they're just silly nerds. And they have this whole thing that, like we could go on and we might, but I'll just stay on the subject of those EPs that I sold. They took me under their wing. They knew I had no record label. I didn't even have a manager. I had no representation at all. It was a weird time in my career. I don't know why, but I guess maybe I had just wasn't believing in myself or something. Lots of change. So they were like, we want you to come on tour and be our featured, soloist in the show. But yes, you can open for us in these crazy hockey arenas. And even though the music, my music and Blue Man's music is so completely different, but they're like, let's just make it happen. You can open for these thousands of people tonight. And yes, you can go to the merch table and you can sell whatever you want. We won't take a cut. It was just, they're beautiful. Like they're really generous. So that's how I was able to sell 12,000 without there's no radio play. There was no promotion. There was no street teaming. There was no nothing. It was just kind of amazing. What do you call it? Like artist to customer, boom. And I would go out every night in the lobby, whether my voice was tired or not. And I would sell and I'd sign and I'd talk and I'd take pictures. And that's how I did that. It's a beautiful kind of grassroots approach.
Nice. So
Yeah.
did they call you up and say, "Hey, do you want to do this?"
Kind of. They came to a show that I was performing in the Lower East Side of New York City at a place that no longer exists. I'm so sad. It was called Fez. It was down under the Time Cafe, and it was like one of those little venues where you could hear the subway rumbling and stuff. And I loved playing there. And they came to my show. Now I had already guested on their album, The Complex. So I had already been in the kind of network where I sang some songs and then they kept it on the album and we kind of became friends. Then they came to the show and they came backstage and they were like, hey, we're going to go on tour. We're planning this whole thing. Do you want to be in the show? And I was like, cool. Yeah, why not? What do
Nice.
I do? And dress in blue, wear a blue thing, this blue. And we had to work on that because I was like, I think I still need to have my own identity. And that took a minute for I had to kind of like really advocate for myself, but they totally got it.
So one thing that you've talked about a little bit is fear, and that was in your article on People Magazine, and I want to talk about that. It's like, since you've had some success, have you ever had that fear, even growing up, even on a daily basis, of failing
Ah,
or not being good enough? And I mean,
well, that's huge.
imposter syndrome.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, as a parent too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Daily to the minute, it's such a challenge. But yes. So I would say, it is under the umbrella of fear because I do believe like there's two things: there's fear and there's love, right? So the fear or the feeling, the belief that I'm not good enough, I'm still grappling with it right now at age 57. It's a learned behavior or it's a coping mechanism, right?
Hmm.
Survival skill. I love everything about therapy, by the way. It's like you learn about these parts of yourself. So, whether it's the things that had happened to me in my life, my father died before I was 2. I didn't really have a father until I was like 7 or 8. And then I love him dearly, but he was reserved and I couldn't quite get that, like, daddy's little girl feeling forever. Those things shape you. And so, yeah, I'm constantly learning from that and trying to grow and overcome those limitations for sure.
I think that's the Gen X way. I mean, I am a child of divorce, and I had my dad until I was about 9, and then suddenly dad wasn't there every night, and he wasn't there every night anyway because he was a fireman. But
Oh,
most of the
wow.
time when he was there, he was there, and then all
Oh,
of a sudden he's not there, and he became this totally different person. Instead of my mom, my dad became this party boy,
oh boy.
and my mom just became somebody else too, and it was just like I think at a certain point, Generation X, latchkey kid for the most part, you had to figure out how to take care of yourself by yourself. Maybe you had siblings. I know you had siblings. Me, I had a half sister that was 12 years older than or 12 years younger than me. So
Okay.
I didn't have that. I had me. And
Wow.
it's like when you're trying to figure out who you are, I think that's why therapy is Gen X's friend.
Yeah.
We had to do it on our own because our parents weren't taught to be emotionally available.
Wow. So true. And I think any generation, like therapy is just so helpful. And like what you're saying is true for all parents. At least, I feel like maybe now there's more material and there's more resources, and we've got the internet and YouTube and everyone, or at least in my circles, we all talk about therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to talk about therapy. In the past, it wasn't. And that generation, even my parents, I'm actually trying to get my parents who are 87 and 88 to think about therapy. I know that sounds crazy, but everyone's stoic and they're like, oh no, we don't need therapy, I'm fine. And that's why it's passed down to us,
Mm-hmm.
because so many people live unconsciously, and that's just kind of our lot in life. And I'm sorry that your parents didn't find happiness as a result of the divorce or working on themselves, but that's probably just a generational thing or whatever, or their parents.
The how I look at it is one thing that my mom did because yes, I started acting out. What does a kid do when you act out? So
Mhm.
she put me in therapy. At 9 years old, I was in therapy. And here's the thing though, I'm glad she did it because it made me okay with therapy from a young age.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally.
So when I knew I couldn't deal with something and I didn't want to talk to other people, I could get a therapist. And I
Oh,
think that's it. That was a gift in itself.
so much. Did you resist it though? Were you like, I'm not doing
No,
it?
I was I think 10 at the time, and it was just kind of like, okay. Now the worst thing that happened was the teacher that was my fifth grade teacher. I came back from one of my therapy sessions, and we were living with my grandparents, so all my stuff had been packed and I didn't have it. So my desk at school became this thing.
Uh-huh.
And the teacher was lined up at my desk and had all the kids lined up to the trash can to throw away
Your stuff?
my stuff.
Oh God. That is
Yes.
traumatic. Are you serious?
Yes, and yeah, and then the even worse than that is, so eventually my mom and this woman become friends, and I end up living with this woman for a bit. So yeah, it's so Gen X. It's like I understand Gen X trauma because yeah, hmm
It's a thing. That's
hmm
awful. Okay. So you probably talked about that in therapy later in life too, because that's
oh
a
yeah,
pivotal moment.
oh yeah, yeah, and
So later.
it is, and it's one of those things where it's like you don't realize how much it affects you until you're in a situation like going through this house, getting rid of stuff
Oh,
and having somebody come over and knowing this and using it against you in a way,
oh
being a
my.
bully about it. So it was just kind of like whatever.
This is like the whole idea of therapy and then boundaries and like knowing yourself and then trusting yourself. This is where I'm at right now. It's like that kind of stuff. Hopefully, you get to a point where you're like, okay, that's them. This is external. They got their own shit happening. And now it's up to me to like go, loving boundaries, whatever. But like, that can affect me. And that's hard, even at this age. I
Yeah,
am grappling with that every single day.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, in the situation when the person came over, I had another friend, And I bit my tongue. I bit my tongue on the only thing I got upset with, because I don't associate with the person that did this.
Good.
The only thing that upset me was that at the moment I did not stand up for myself because there was other ramifications that were possible. So I
Um,
just kind of was like, I just bit my tongue. Otherwise, I was ready to go off. And it's like,
oh, that's hard, man. That's so hard. And then you get that energy in your chest and you're like clamping down. It's so hard.
but the thing is, it shows that I have this boundary now and you can't cross it. And if you cross it, then I'm going to, I will react. And the thing is, you have to learn how to react. And
Mhm.
that's where you got to come from. And that's where I'm working on right now, is coming from a different place. That if somebody, I've used this analogy many times, and I'm sure you've had this issue for yourself. You tell somebody something, you tell somebody a wound, and that person is your friend until they're not your friend. And then they take those bullets to the gun, as I say, and they use it against you.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing, is because you come from sincerity to tell somebody something and then they turn around and use it on you.
Yeah. That vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
that's not okay.
No, but it
Not okay.
happens. I'm sure you've had those experiences. We all have.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's, I'm digressing. This is
It's
about you, not
okay.
about
It's
me.
fun.
So, what made you decide to adopt?
Ah, honestly, I was a little bit late in the family planning. I mean, I had, I was definitely able to get pregnant because I had some, moments in my 20s where I had to make difficult choices.
Mm-hmm.
I won't talk
Mm-hmm.
about that these days, but actually, I'm proud of it. Like, I'm glad I
You did what was right for you at the
I
time.
did what was right for me and for everyone involved. So,
Mm-hmm.
but when I met my ex-husband, I was approaching like 38, and we tried everything, IVF, everything, even considering egg donors, whatever, and it just wasn't working. So at the same time, we took the other plan B stream and started thinking about adoption. And then at some point, I was just like, I don't want to try. I don't want to put my body through the IVF anymore. It's expensive too. So there's plenty of kids in the world that need loving parents and homes. And so I just decided to just put that to bed. And we went through the adoption process, which took forever and was grueling as well, but completely worth it and beautiful.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Adoption is a great thing. I mean, I never adopted. I was a step parent, and that was an adventure. But
Hey.
I
Yeah.
think that's the big talk now. People that don't have kids,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
will say yes, having kids does change your perspective. I mean, I'm sure you would agree,
Yeah.
because I was a step parent when Beavis and Butthead was out, and we didn't have cable at the time. And one of my in-laws sent me this because we lived in the middle of nowhere. So my in-law sends me a videotape of Beavis and Butthead, and I'm just like mortified. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I
Right.
have two kids.
Right.
Fast forward a couple of years, and I'm single again, and I'm watching Beavis and Butthead and think it's the funniest thing in the world. So
I
I
know.
think
Yeah.
our perspective changes when we have kids, and as we get older too.
Oh, having kids is a constant lesson, just in acceptance, um, boundaries. God, it's so hard. I mean, I understand, like people are like, I'm not cut out for this. And I'm like, oh, I get that. But then you are as well. Like somebody told me, like, I am the perfect mother for my child. And I hear that and I'm like, really? Am I? But I know I am. And I am flawed. I have so many like inconsistencies, and it's really about boundaries. So hello, therapy. But so back to the point, it does change your perspective. It gives you a whole new set of responsibilities. So it's not just about you anymore. But well, I'll just say that the conversation that's happening with that certain person who's bringing that up, that doesn't sound like what he is getting at. I don't really know what JD Vance is getting at. I think he's basically trying to kind of put down women and the choices that women make. So I'm not cool with that.
No, I agree. I agree. And I think he's misspoken because I dare we say we live in the clickbait world that we do, and his comments, his rhetoric will get people's attention because of that.
Yeah, right. The more ridiculous it is, it will get attention. And that's what's been happening with our former president, too. I just wish that we'd stop giving all of that airtime because then we could actually get to the real topics. But because of the clickbait world and because it's so sensational, it's really impossible at the moment to work around.
Well, that's one thing I've talked, I've said to some of my friends, it's like when you look at the political ads, that the amount of money we spend on political ads, if they actually put that money to do something good for people, think of the press coverage you could get for free because you've
Wow.
actually done something to help people instead
Oh,
of
right.
mudslinging.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, look at that. That's such a waste of money.
Hmm. But let's spend the money on whatever. But we
Awful
don't want to.
energy.
We didn't come here to talk about that
No, we didn't. Okay.
because I know that can get very. We don't want to go there.
Right, right.
Um, so there was something you were talking about fear. You were also talking about thinking about others and their perception and the energy that we waste on that. And do you find that there's times when you look back and go, well, what if? What if I could have done this differently? What if I would? I mean, do you get up? I mean, you were talking about being in your head earlier, and I understand that feeling 100%. As a creative, I
Yeah.
think we live there. So, are there times when you have to reel yourself back in and go, okay, but this is now, and this is where I am now, and this is
Oh,
where I'm going?
oh, right, right. Yes. In so many areas of my life, I need to do that. Even to the experience of being on stage, it used to be like, oh God, what I just did was awful. Oh my God, what are they thinking of me? Oh, my dress. Oh God, my guitar's out of tune. Oh, they want to walk out. I know they do. They're tired. They're not paying attention. All of that inner chatter is just so preventing me, all of us, from being in the moment and giving our all and our best. So from that to walking around, or like in my life, thinking about what other people think of my parenting, what other people think of my art. Even my new album, I was listening to it recently and I was like, I had that little voice. It's a snake in my mind. It's a little snake, which is great because if you expose the snake, then you're like, you're not real. And then poof, hopefully. But the snake was like, oh, your fans or not even your fans, the people out there are going to think you've gone soft. You're not edgy anymore. You need another edgy song. Um, and it's a constant like whack-a-mole and you got to be on top of it. Otherwise that like the garden and the metaphor of the weeds, it can really take over and be overwhelming. So I constantly, like every morning I meditate. And I'm always looking towards personal growth and all of that stuff so that I can keep that at bay and live presently, like being present and being conscious in my life as much as possible.
And that's a hard thing because we are inundated with so much coming at us all the time.
Yeah, there's that too. It's a discipline. It's like a constant moment to moment discipline.
How do you feel about social media?
I mean, like, yeah, what you're talking about the influence of social media or what other people think of you or the inundation of it all. It's again a constant filter that I personally have to put up. I know what I can stand. I know when I start to feel edgy. Like for a while there, I was getting really into the race and the sensationalism of it all. And I can't believe he said that or this or that. And I started to pay attention to my body because that's like your body and the way it feels is the barometer. And a lot of people don't realize this. And I hope that, anyone listening can hear these words like if your body starts to feel weird and you really have to tune into it like oh god there's that energy and I can't sleep. I wonder why I can't sleep. Oh, it's because I was just on YouTube and I was like clickbaiting or I was like
Doom
wild
scrolling.
up. Yeah, so I have to, and because of my diagnosis recently, I'm really trying to cut out any, stress and negative influences, just like food. If you're putting junk in your mouth, that's really bad fuel. So if you're putting junk in your mind by continuing to swipe or whatever, That's also toxic. So, but I do on the flip side, I love funny videos where my friends, especially my best friend and I, send each other hilarious Instagram videos, whether it's animals or turtles
Yeah.
on the little mini skateboard. Like
Yeah.
that makes me so happy. And so I don't have a problem with that because I actually get endorphins from that. And so more of that, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about social media. It's like it can affect your moods. And I have a friend who's like, "Yeah, I looked at the news today, and it's just not worth it." And I'm so scared about the election. I'm like, "You need to step away."
Oh yeah.
When COVID was going on, hubby had already been diagnosed with, you're on borrowed time, and
Okay.
so he's sitting at the kitchen table and he's bawling his eyes out watching the news, and I'm like,
Oh,
we need to change channel. No, 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 I want to watch this. I'm like, I'm going upstairs to write.
ugh.
And I used to be very politically active. I was always, and after his death, it was just kind of like, what am I going to do? What is me posting things? I'm not going to change anybody's mind. And I
Uh,
think that's where you have to come from. You have to go, yes, there's certain people you can connect with and you might be able to get them to sway their opinion. But a lot of the times we're just getting angry with each other, and somebody on the other side, sometimes it's a bot, is just ginning us up to tear us apart.
wow, it is so true. Right. So then you're in the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's so easy to get pulled in at
Mm-hmm.
any age. My parents, again, 87, 88, and they have the news and the TV on 24/7. And whether it's my mom will, she's in Oregon and I'm in Brooklyn, and she'll be like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I'll say, what's happening? And she'll be, "The weather sounds terrible." And I'll be like, "It's a perfect day out." Or
Mm-hmm.
she'll get caught up in the news and the world is a terrible place. And like, why are you spending your last years, feeding yourself all this toxicity?
Well, I mean, even the weather has become a joke because, okay, we used to have the weather reports like, okay, we're going to have snow, we're going to have rain. Now it's like Snowmageddon.
Clickbait again. You're
Yeah,
right. Totally.
Snowmageddon. But anyway, I do have to ask because we're talking about social media. So you met Kiss.
Oh, you did.
And yes, they said you're a rock. Did Gene really ask you to sign his penis?
100%. Absolutely.
Wow.
The whole conversation went like that. I approached them. We're backstage on this TV show in Germany. I wish I could remember the name of the TV show. Paul Stanley was like, "Oh, there's a real rock star." So that kind of felt good. And then Gene Simmons said that, "Will you sign my penis?" It was just like, really? And I really did use that response, and I'm very proud of it.
I think the response is great. What was his reaction to the response?
Don't remember because I was kind of like, I just said that to Gene Simmons. My name is too long. I just said that. But it wasn't there. I think it dissipated. And then we were like taking photos.
Nice, nice. I mean, the thing is, I think you have to come from a place where you own yourself. And in that moment, it sounds like you knew, I'm not going to be intimidated by somebody making some kind of remark.
In a way, I am kind of like, wow, I really said that. Yeah. Like sometimes I surprise myself in those moments of just like complete boom. Because I don't often think of myself like that. But when I look back and I remember that, I'm like, yeah, it was like I'm not taking no crap from this man dressed in makeup like a Halloween costume.
Well, and I mean, when you think about who you were I mean, you were coming across pretty much as being a badass.
Yeah,
So it's very fitting. It's very
good.
fitting.
I'm glad. I wish I could tap more into that nowadays.
Trust me, I understand.
Yeah.
So what is it like for you? I mean, I know it's been years, but you grew up in Eugene, Oregon, and now you're in Brooklyn. So I mean, you're talking one is very, very much there's nature around you where Brooklyn is not very
Right.
much a natural environment.
Right. Well, I do live in a beautiful part of Brooklyn that's kind of off the beaten path. It's called Windsor Terrace, and it's got trees and we're next to Prospect Park, which is a big,
Okay.
huge park designed by the Central Park guys, whatever. And then Greenwood Cemetery, which has become my absolute most favorite place because it's like an arboretum as well. So there's trees from all over, and it
Nice.
reminds me of Eugene. Yeah, there's lots of fir trees. So you got to find your spots. Like, and I had Woodstock in my life for quite a while until recently. And Woodstock is like Eugene East. And that was my whole reason of, or the thing that was going to help me be able to be in New York City once again when I moved back from LA was having a place like Woodstock where I could have the trees and the streams and the space. So now that I don't have the actual Woodstock property anymore, I can at least be in Brooklyn where I'm surrounded by parks and trees.
Nice. And yeah, LA, I mean, I listened to a little bit of a podcast you were on, and you missed the beach, I'm sure, and the ocean, but LA is very much concrete jungle.
Oh, it's such a weird place. There's so many great things about it. And I think my favorite thing is when I'm working there and I feel like I've got stuff going on and I'm a musician and artist and I'm connecting with really great musicians and people. But when it comes to like normal everyday life, which I tried, it was like, you pull up the blind and you're like, oh my God, it's another beautiful day. But then you're like, the sun sets and then you're like, where am I going? Am I going to go out? I'm not going out. I don't want to go out. Who am I going to call? Nobody. Then
Yeah,
it's crickets. It's just really lonely.
I get that. So let's talk about yours. Excuse me. Yes, my voice allergies. What can I say? Anyway, so what was the inspiration with Whether You Fall?
Hmm. Okay, so I wrote that song quite a while ago, before my third album, which was Blink the Brightest. So Whether You Fall, I wrote on the piano, and I wrote on the piano that Island Records bought for me so that they're trying to woo me into writing another hit song. And so I was like, well, I'll play piano. So anyway, that piano had a lot of significance. It was like, okay, I'm trying to make the best of this bad situation. And then it was in Brooklyn Heights. I was living there and it was right across from the trade centers, like the East River, and then the towers were right there. Um, so that happened. September 11th happened. My mom had just recently gone through breast cancer. That was a tough time. I'm a little embarrassed, but I was married earlier to a wonderful guy named Steve, who was in the band called Soul Wax, but we were married for 3 years, but that didn't work out. I think we were just too young. So I had that first divorce happening, and then I was basically dropped from Island Records. It was more like me and my A&R person at that time went to Island and just said, please let me go. So all of those things were happening. And I had this manager who was like, go hide your head in the sand until it's clear. And I was miserable. So I sat down at the piano and I just kept thinking about all the things that had happened to me, and oh no, woe's me. But this completely uplifting idea came, and the fingers started going on the keys, and it was like, oh, this is beautiful. The idea that we're all going to fall down, it's inevitable. We all do all the time. It's what do you do with it? So, and then to re-record it now for this new album with my band and to give it new life. And of course, I've been through a mountain more, failures and, hardships. So many things have happened, as they will in life. And it's what I do with it. So that song is like very significant right now in my life.
Sounds like it. And then, of course, you do have a new relationship as well, which is
I have a
important.
beautiful, yeah, it's like the payoff. And honestly, doing all that work on myself like through the years, but also like at the end of my divorce, I was full on self help, personal growth addict. I mean, like ad nauseum, I was constantly like listening to podcasts and reading books and YouTube clips to better myself. And whether you believe in this stuff or not, but I do believe I attracted like this amazing man and this wonderful situation.
No, I read cards, so you're not. I read cards and I teach intuition stuff, so it's all good.
Okay, that's why I like talking with you. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
My late husband had a theory about the first marriage. Okay, because
Oh
he had a
yeah.
first marriage, I was the second marriage. I had a first marriage, he was the second marriage, and he
Yeah.
said you just have to get that first one under the belt because most of them don't last. And I mean, some do, but yeah, how many people have been divorced at least once?
A lot.
Yeah.
It's like this, what is it? The starter kit, the starter.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we had to get it out of our system. I mean, I'm friends with my ex, and we laugh about it. You know, we're like, oh my God, I can call you ex-husband, ex-wife. That's hilarious.
Oh no, I have when you talk about weirdness, and this is aside, but when you talk about weirdness, my husband's best friend would have these cookouts,
Uh,
and at these cookouts we would have my husband's best friend with his current wife, whose first wife was with my husband's ex-wife. I mean, it was just
right.
one of those
Like
things where
Fleetwood
it was
Mac.
like,
Yeah.
how in the yeah,
I love
everybody knew
that.
somebody, and it was just like, you can't make this shit up. You really
No, you can't make
can't.
it up. I love if everyone's getting along and then you see the hilarity in it. I think that's a wonderful place.
Mhm.
And so that's great. Yeah, maybe
So,
someday I'll be able to.
what is your record going to be like?
Oh, it's gonna be beautiful. It already is. Yeah, I'm so excited. It's really like full of a lot of my um just becoming more of who I am and incorporating things that I had put aside for a while, like my classical training, especially on piano. I'm just like, I'm like going back to the well, and what made me fall in love with music in the first place was classical, every kind of music, honestly, but the piano and how I played Debussy and I had played all of these beautiful classic romantic composers and pieces. That is now like I have a song called Naked, which is also from my third album. We've re-recorded that one. And there's a whole moment where it just goes completely into Debussy instead of going into the rocking bridge that it used to be with the guitars, like very Led Zeppelin on the third album. Now it's like a beautiful like interlude, gorgeous piano, showing off stuff. But I'm so proud of it because that's who I am. And I'm still rocking and I still have rockering songs on there, even though I'm a little insecure about there not being enough, but I'm older and yeah, these songs are deeper. They're about coming into who you are, who I am, and still dealing with some of the hardship I'd gone through and overcoming it. So I think it's really deep and meaningful.
Well, and since we're talking about your classical, let's talk about you working with the ballet. I mean, that had to be amazing to watch your music come to life.
Yeah, that was beyond anything. And it's probably my favorite experience. I have several wonderful memories of being on stage with, the likes of great artists and musicians and instrumentalists. But that with the movement, the choreography, how I worked with the choreographer for a number of years on it, my lovely band, and hiring three musicians from my hometown to be on stage with me, one of which, the violinist, is someone I grew up with who we were rivals. I mean, we were friends, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Pilar Bradshaw was always like number one. She'd get first chair and best in state. And I was like, oh, Pilar Bradshaw. I practiced, but I actually can thank her for kicking me in the ass because I practiced. To get that second in state on the violin, it was because I knew Pilar was going to be first and I practiced 4 hours a day. So to have her on stage, and I'm her boss now, but she's such a wonderful player still. Like having that full circle of my hometown, being in the beautiful Holt Center, which is where like I saw Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan perform, and I grabbed my diploma when we were graduating on that stage. Like all of that combined was like the most beautiful experience. And we practiced so hard. Also, I had just had my surgery like 4 weeks before that. So it was all about like, how do I use my time wisely? How do I really prepare mentally everything for this moment and not crumble into tears?
Right. And I mean, it's a true coming home.
Yeah, true coming home in the best way.
So out of all you were saying you had performed with some people. What is your fondest memory of performing with somebody?
There's this band that I'm in, or that I'm in. It's funny, we play like once every 10 years, but, and it's funny, I just have this album cover. I don't know if you can see it. It's called The Wayfaring Strangers.
Okay.
Now, this is a group of people. First, the leader is he was my string teacher at Berklee College of Music, Matt Glazer, and he was on the Ken Burns jazz documentary. He's like Mister, like he knows so much about jazz and then roots music. Anyway, incredible musician who put this band together. Asked me to be in it. I was like, "You want me?" I guess he loves my singing, but then had all of these people, cast of like world renowned players, Tony Trischka on the banjo, Jamie Haddad, who plays drums with Paul Simon, people that come from all of these different walks of life. Aoife O'Donovan, who's now super famous in, like her Americana singer-songwriter world. We were like this group of eclectic, it shouldn't have worked, but it did. And being on stage with them, we played with can't remember now, Boston Pops or something. And having all of the different kinds of music. So it was like blues, roots, bluegrass, me, whatever I do, country, jazz, all together in one was like a meeting of the worlds. And because the musicianship was so, so high, I'll still kind of think of that as one of my favorite experiences.
Nice. I
Yeah.
did want to ask about the Melodon House.
Oh, Melodian.
Melodian, excuse me.
Melodian. Yeah, it's okay. Melodon. I like that too.
So, yeah. So, what made you decide? I mean, yes, I know your age. So, you grew up with Schoolhouse Rock, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I mean,
exactly.
that was such an educational tool. Is that kind of where you thought about that? And did that kind of lead the journey here?
Totally. I had just gotten off the road with Blue Man Group because I wanted to start a family. And so, in order to make a little extra cash while I wasn't touring, I started teaching music. And I had taught off and on. And I felt as though there wasn't like any material out there that just was fun and inspiring on how to teach music or how to teach music where kids could not only learn music theory and whether it's piano or whatever, have it be full of joy. And Schoolhouse Rock is a great example because those earworms that, I'm just a bill, and you're like, well, what is that song about? And you remember it like 30 years later. I think they go in there, and I think the educational aspect is just available to anyone if they're like, oh, I want to figure out what that song really is about. I
Mm.
love teaching in that way where it's really covert, but it's also full of joy.
Well, and it's a great way. I mean, I think if you teach more children like that, I think they comprehend better.
Oh my God, yeah. And it's way more fun, right?
Oh,
Instead of
yeah.
sitting down, let's open up the book to page 32, place your fingers here.
Yeah.
I mean,
No. Mhm.
so many people have come up to me after a show saying, I wish I had a teacher like you, where, I was either discouraged, I was scared, I wish you fell asleep during my lessons. It was boring. Yeah,
Even if you could teach like that on the college level, it would be good. I mean, just
right.
things that would make it more entertaining than just. I remember having a psychology class on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30 in the morning, and the
Mm.
woman literally sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher. Yeah, I dropped it because it's like I'm going to end up asleep in class. Just
Yeah.
no,
Waste
stop.
of time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, did you do a cover of New Moon on Monday with someone?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I have a wonderful friend and incredibly talented musician and producer by the name of Anthony Resta. He goes by Ajax. And he and we met way, way, way back in the day, and we wanted to work together, and then he moved to LA, and the history there is just so long. We'd been trying to work together, and let me see, I can't remember what we were on a compilation, and he wanted to work with me on this song, and so I went into his studio in LA and I recorded the vocals, and he basically is a mastermind. He's kind of like this like genius kind of studio guy. So he just like whipped it up, and then it was out in this compilation, and yeah, it's great.
I just thought it was kind of, it just didn't seem to fit your normal stuff. That's why I was like, I want to
Right,
ask you about it because it was just kind
right.
of out there.
What is my normal stuff though?
Well,
I'm
I
a big
mean,
fan with like
it,
bluegrass people.
it's more classical. This was more of a dancey pop
Oh yeah.
vibe, and you're not very much the pop person.
No, not so much, but it was fun. And so I should do more of that just to like confuse people. But no, it's so much fun. I mean, I love doing cover songs. Usually when I do a cover song, I go the complete opposite, like Beyonce's Crazy in Love, and I make a version that sounds like it's klezmer, like
Yeah,
I usually like to go into something like unexpected.
right.
But that it was really fun doing that as well.
I figured, but I had to ask. So, when do you think your record's going to be out?
Well, it's funny, it may be coming out after this is released because I do want to put one more song on there. I do, I really do. I have another song. It's really good. So I'm kind of my own boss. And so there's this pressure that I'm like, oh, I gotta release it when I said the fall. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm my own boss and I could put one more song on there because I can. And it'll just make the record that much more varied. Uh,
Mhm.
and so it's going to come out by the end of the year.
Do we have a title?
Yes, it's the name of the first single, which is "Damn the Sky for Being Too Wide."
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and we have
No,
great artwork. I have a great photo that's going to go so good. It's going to look great on vinyl, and I see posters, and that
awesome.
type works perfectly.
Awesome. And I get being your own boss because as an author, it's like, well, I can do this and I can push. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
as long as you don't like, constantly like, I know people who are like will never finish their song or album because it could always be better and then it never gets finished. And I don't want to be like that.
I have a 30-year novel I'll never finish, but I've borrowed from my other books. So I understand. I do understand that.
Yeah.
So is there anything that we did not talk about that you would like to add?
We went through the gamut. I love it. I can't think of anything.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I thank you for coming on the show, Tracy.
Thank you. That was really fun.
Nigel Hartigan, a rock star in the limelight with a flourishing music career, a talented spouse, and a lovely daughter, conceals a dark secret as he spirals into a haze with the power goddess. Nigel experiences extreme highs and lows, revealing an inner beast. As he descends further into the clutches of the goddess, Nigel plunges to rock bottom, consumed by a delusional world where debauchery rules. Struggling for survival, he faces a difficult choice between his affection for the power goddess and his musical mistress, and the life he once cherished. My Days with the Dark Muse, a Better to Burn Out novel, is available at most online booksellers. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Sitting down with Tracy was amusing, entertaining, and I enjoyed it a lot because we talked about not just the song that she's known for. We talked about her whole career and different aspects of career and of life. And I think sometimes we lose track of somebody who has had that success. And when she was talking about her success, how she was going up, she had that trajectory of going up. The yodeling guy game from The Price is Right, which some people may not know, but I'm sure you've seen memes about it. And how we sit there and we're going up, going up, going up, and then you guess too much and you're going to go down. And that's kind of, I didn't even go there with her either about that. When you think about fame, we put people up on pedestals only to watch them fall. And in this case, she got to a certain pinnacle. And unfortunately, due to the record company merging, she wasn't on the label she thought she was. And so many things happened to conspire to derail her career that she had to continue on making music because she loved it. And there's nothing wrong with that because if it's your passion, you're going to continue to do it, even if it's not everything that you want it to be. But she still got some amazing experiences from it. I mean, to work with the Blue Man Group, to work with a ballet company, to work on the compilation CD with the people that she had an experience of being part of something that she may not have had that opportunity had she not had that pinnacle of success. And here's the thing, that pinnacle of success for her, for some, they will never see that. And I know she gets that and she appreciates what she had. She seems to have no regrets. She seems to, anything she looks back on, she can reflect and she knows how to work through it. And she shows in the interview how human she is. And that's the thing. I think we lose track of that the creative person sometimes can't be human. They have to be beyond human. They have to be superhuman. But Tracy talked about some of the very common struggles she went through. And I appreciate her candor for that. Um, anyway, she has a new record coming out, and I would keep an eye out for it because I'm sure it'll be amazing. The two songs, Whether You Fall and Damn the Sky, are both available on YouTube for you to listen to. And you should check it out because I think that she has a lot to say in her lyrics. So, on that note, I'd like to thank Tracy once again for coming on the show. I'd like to thank Rich Zai from Third Ear Audio Productions for the sound and Fast Susie for the intro and outro music. And most importantly, I'd like to thank you for tuning into the show because without you guys, I wouldn't have a show. So, I thank you very much for tuning in and enjoy your day, evening, whenever you're listening. And I'll catch you next time, guys. Bye.